Throughout this video, I'm going to break down 3 very popular and also very common approaches to fitness, give my take on their pros, their cons, and hopefully help you decide which one you should consider implementing into your routine. There are many different styles and approaches you can adopt, but which one is actually the best? We're going to go through common ones and popular ones such as Hyrox or functional fitness. We're going to consider Pilates. I'm also going to throw a bit of a classic in there as well with German volume training. First on the list, Hyrox. Well, what is Hyrox? According to the interwebs, Hyrox apparently stands for Hybrid Rock Stars, which is not very cool, I'm going to be honest with you. But ultimately, it is an indoor functional fitness race, which consists of a lot of running and multiple different, usually about 8 I believe, exercise stations between. And one of the key aspects of Hyrox, and I would say one of the reasons it's become so popular, especially in the last year, maybe year and a half, is the fact it's so community driven. It allows you to get together, you can do it on your own, but you can do it with a partner or with a team, and thus removing a bit of a barrier to entry when it comes to fitness, which is intimidation or maybe motivation because you have nobody to do it with. And within that, it allows you to do many things at once. There's an element of strength training in there. There's an element of hypertrophy training in there, just through resistance training, elements of aerobic fitness as well, which kind of ties into a negative of Hyrox, is it's not really good at one thing. For example, when you are mixing multiple disciplines, like strength training, hypertrophy training, fitness training, or aerobic training, we'll say, you are giving each of those disciplines less emphasis. You're pouring less into each cup because you can only distribute your energy across so many things. You only have so much energy. So although yes, it is fantastic for doing loads of things well, you are going to limit yourself if you want to do one thing really well, which is why you see a lot of hybrid athletes in fantastic shape, but none of them are as strong as powerlifters, and none of them are as big as top bodybuilders, etc., etc. So ultimately, it really comes down to what you want to achieve. And if you want to get good at many things at once, I think Hyrox is a fantastic option to consider and something I actually really back. Number 2 on the list, Pilates. Potentially controversial because my take on this often is controversial. Ultimately, Pilates is an exercise system that was created to aid with things like core strength, posture, flexibility, and many others. And there are a few types of Pilates, but there are 2 really common ones, such as mat Pilates and reformer Pilates. And ultimately, Pilates is a really good introduction to resistance training in my opinion. It's a great opportunity for those who aren't ready to, or maybe aren't desiring to, get into resistance training to do so without doing so in a typical fashion, where they don't have to work out with weights, free weights or machines at the gym or at home. They can implement these exercises through Pilates to help them achieve many of their goals, such as previously mentioned, flexibility, core strength, etc., etc. The issue with that, and this is where the controversy lies, is that the ceiling of progression is very low. Ultimately, when you are lifting against so much resistance, and the resistance through Pilates is limited, your ceiling of progression is only going to be so high, meaning you can only strengthen your core to this degree. You can only get this strong. What can actually help you do that really well is resistance training with free weights, with machines, whatever it may be. Ultimately, you allow yourself to choose exercises that allow you to heighten that ceiling of progression, thus hopefully enhancing the results you see. Because one thing that people really overlook is the importance of core strength when resistance training. When you're doing a large compound movement, you're going to have a strong core to hold a weight on your back. Another thing people really overlook, the importance of flexibility. I always preach and promote when you're lifting, especially with hypertrophy in mind, so the building of muscle, you must go through the full range of motion. For example, if I'm doing a squat pattern, a really good squat for quad development in my eyes is a squat in which you are going as low as possible. Does that not tie into a really good aspect of flexibility in which you are usually stretching your muscle to its full range of motion? You are essentially taking your muscle to a stretched position in its full range of motion, but simply with resistance. Everyone has this idea that if you resistance train, you lack flexibility. That doesn't need to be the case, especially if you do it properly. As always, link down below in the description and the comment section is a link to apply for TFNL coaching, where I can coach you online to achieve your goals, whatever they may be, and also wherever you may be in the world. So fill in the application form, I'll send you an email, we'll hop on a free Zoom consultation call, and we'll go from there. Next on the list, German volume training. Something that's going to be particularly popular amongst some of the older lifters because it was once very popular. What is German volume training? It is simply a resistance training technique in which you do 10 sets of 10 reps. That simple, that black and white. Throughout this video, I've spoken about all the pros of different fitness styles, all the cons. But to be honest with you, I don't really have any pros with German volume training unless you just simply like doing it. To which I'd argue, if you do like doing 10 sets of 10 reps, if you need to talk, I'm always here to listen. With that, the reason why I don't like it, especially when looking at the context of hypertrophy, for example, which is primarily what it was kind of designed for, paired with strength as well, you're doing a lot of junk volume. And what I mean by that is if we know there are only so many effective reps per set, and those effective reps really come from close proximity to failure, when you're doing so many sets or so many reps, with the earlier sets being so far from failure, nearly none or very few of those earlier reps within those earlier sets are actually effective. Therefore, why did you do them in the first place? You were simply doing more movement for the sake of it without any real relevant stimulus for growth, which in turn is junk volume, when you could have actually better done maybe 2 sets of 10 reps to failure and accumulated a good amount of stimulus for growth whilst minimizing fatigue and maybe doing a different exercise entirely afterwards. When you're doing so much volume and training so far from failure in the earlier stages before then getting closer to failure as the sets go on, you are wasting a lot of time, and that time could be better spent programming more optimally, getting a lot more bang for your buck, and actually allowing you to train a muscle multiple times a week, which we know is pretty bloody important when it comes to hypertrophy. Which makes me beg the question is, why would you do German volume training in the first place? Like with all my videos, that is simply my opinion, and you don't have to agree with it, you can even disagree, and that's absolutely fine. But ultimately, the training style that you should adopt really comes down to the one that helps you achieve your goals, and also the one you enjoy the most. And that's something you need to answer for yourself. Until the next one, thank you for tolerating me. Thank you for tolerating my waffle about training styles, and thank you for tolerating the video.